My name is Chuck Chakuri. I am a machine learning consultant. Like I was talking to you guys about, familiar with OpenAI, very excited about this topic. I'm very excited to have Sanghamitra Goswami here to help us understand how to adopt generative AI. Sanghamitra Goswami, she's a dynamic leader with a lot of accomplishments, right? I'm very impressed with a lot of her accomplishments. She has a track record of learning, machine learning, and data science, and product launches, right? And one thing I liked about in her bio is that she's focused on ROI, right? I think it's a beautiful thing, because a lot of projects fail because they're not looking at ROI, right? They're spending so much money, they're not getting ROI. I think her focus on ROI, hats off, Sanghamitra. And then what she has a lot of experience in consulting with C-level executives, right? She's guiding them make decisions on enterprise, and she's led a lot of product growth in many unicorns as a startup. And she also has experience in automating and scaling data strategies in large enterprises, right? Currently, she is a senior director at PagerDuty, and she's here to show us how to use, generative AI, right? And I'm here with give him a big hand, guys. He got it working. While I was chit-chatting with you guys, and I want him to step up here and talk about her accomplishments briefly before we start.
Thank you, Chuck. My name is Jeet. I'm a master's student at Cal State Fullerton. Honestly, as a student, I'm blown away by her achievements. She has a PhD in astrophysics from Northwestern University, where she studied the origin of intermediate black holes. I think that's awesome, because I think AI and ML is the only way we are going to know the distance to the stars nowadays. And she also spent 10 years in the industry working in the fields of AI and machine learning. And AI is not even that old. And also recently, she was selected as a finalist in the AI entrepreneur category by VentureBeat Transform. So please have a huge round of applause for our speaker, Sanghamitra Goswami. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. You can listen to me?
Yes.
Awesome. I'm Sanghamitra. Thank you, Chuck and Jeet, for that awesome introduction. I'm the senior director at PagerDuty, and I am working with AI and now generative AI all the time. So thank you, DataCon LA, for giving me the opportunity to speak about this, share our journey, and how the challenges and opportunities that we saw as we interacted with generative AI. First, I want to know how many of you are students? Awesome. How many of you are working in a company? Great. So you are all facing the same problems. And how many of you are professors? Awesome. So we have a mix of professional people with students and professors. That's a good mix for this talk. So I'm going to start my talk with an introduction to PagerDuty and what PagerDuty does, what is PagerDuty Operations Cloud, PagerDuty AI. This is because I'm going to set the stage to explain how we are using data science, AI, machine learning at PagerDuty, the opportunities. And then if you're interested in PagerDuty, please do let me know. After that, I'm going to jump to the second part of my talk, which is AI to generative AI, the challenges and opportunities we faced, and the approach we took through that journey. The third part of my talk, I will showcase 3 features that we are releasing very soon at PagerDuty with generative AI. And our journey has been challenging, as Chuck was saying, do you believe it or not? But it's a huge opportunity. And things are going to improve. Things are going to improve in a direction where we become more and more dependent. However, that doesn't take away that we need to think. As Raman was saying in the keynote speaker, the skill sets that we need to, I would say, embrace is that cognitive skill set. How do we work with different kinds of people? How do we think more strategically. How do we find solutions to the right problems? What problems need generative AI? So I'm going to talk more on that. So what do PagerDuty do? In today's digital world, with fast-moving tools and tech stack, failures in infrastructure and software can trigger major incidents. Think of these incidents as millions of people trying to hit a web page and the web page is down. Or an incident can be that you are trying to add something to the cart on the web page and the tab to add to cart is not working. So the companies will get a lot of customers reaching out to the company asking to fix it. These major incidents can affect customers' trust and negatively impact customer experience. And during such business impacting incidents, engineers are inundated with alerts and a lot of data. And the path to resolution is very error prone and manual, and data is in silos. So all the problems, all the challenges that a data person in the industry faces. And PagerDuty is the solution that provides that one view, aggregating data from multiple monitoring devices and providing engineers with tools to get the right person in the room from different teams and to resolve such incidents. This is another view of what PagerDuty does. So you can see on the left, you have a lot of data that we ingest through our different integrations with monitoring tools. And then what PagerDuty does is it gets all the right people in the room. With its AIOps and process automation makes sure that we are reducing the noise, we are catering the right data, making sense of that data, and then helping responders or engineers solve the problem. Our users are DevOps, SRE, IT, engineers who in the company. This is another view, once again, explaining PagerDuty. If you know, how many of you know about these tools? New Relic, Dynatrace, Datadog. Awesome. So these are the tools we integrate to. And we have 4 different product views. AIOps is the one traditionally incorporating AI for a long time. We have incident response, which does the orchestration of getting the right people in the room. Process automation is our automation tool, and customer service ops. There is a great video that I have. It's a little bit long, 1 minute, 30 seconds, but it summarizes very well the key points that I described. So I'm going to show the video. It's not getting the sound. It's okay if we can't show it. I think I already explained what PagerDuty does. We are good. You all understood me, right? Yes. Great. No worries. Just can I go back to that screen? Awesome. So I'm going to talk about, I have 2 slides where I do want to highlight before generative AI, the AI landscape at PagerDuty. And our first AI feature was in 2019 when PagerDuty went public. And that AI feature was mainly in the AIOps product view. So between 2019 and I would say last year, we released 6 more features, once again, AI features, but mainly in the AIOps product view. However, from last year and after the release of ChatGPT, we are trying to sprinkle AI in all our product units. So AI ops, incident response, process automation, and customer service ops. So the three features that I'm going to describe to you two belongs to that incident response product, and one of them is in the automation. The reason I want to talk about the AI landscape before generative AI is that it is critical to remember that you need a foundation to do AI, and something that we have worked towards as we have released these features. Number one, you need a data lake. You need data scientists to experiment with data. If data scientist doesn't have the power to know their own data, to experiment as often and as much as they want, it's useless. So we have a data lake with all the data which gets refreshed every day, or as fast or as frequently as data scientists want it. The other critical thing is a machine learning pipeline. When you are in an enterprise company, it takes a lot of work to convince everyone that AI is going to give you good results and AI is going to show you value. And it's an experiment, right? So experiments sometimes do really well, and you have to think of the release process. How do you show that results? How do you get all the money? So it's critical that in the initial part of those experiments, you prove to everyone that it's not going to take a long time to build a prototype or to show value. And that's why you need a machine learning pipeline. And the pipeline starts with data scientists experimenting. Then it goes through data scientists building a model, and then easily deploying using some endpoint and giving it to the engineers who are going to embed it in the product. We are an AWS shop, and we use SageMaker for deployment and all other AWS tools. And nowadays we have a lot of different companies who kind of makes this ML pipeline easier. So Databricks is an example. They are talking about generative AI today. They are a great example. But we are an AWS shop, and we have everything in AWS. So machine learning pipeline and a good data lake where data scientists can access and play with the data, critical to any AI and machine learning and generative AI as well. The features that I have highlighted with white are the features, are the AI features. As I was saying, we get a lot of data from all different monitoring devices. So it is critical that we reduce the size, we reduce the noise. We only keep the alerts that are relevant. Sometimes we get alerts that are the same things, but named differently. Sometimes we get alerts so alert A is the main one, and then we get alerts B, C, D, E, which are all dependent on alert A, but there is no way to see the root alert that is causing the problem. So we go through a process of alert grouping, which reduces noise. That is based on clustering techniques. The second one is the auto pause incidents, which is again looking at alerts and reducing noise, but this time looking at alerts which resolves themselves by their own. So no action needs to be taken. These are very simple alerts, and they have a way of resolving in 2 or 3 seconds. The three on the right-hand side, probable origin, outlier incidents, and change correlation, those three are used by responders during the triage process, and they give suggestions on how to go through that solution. Okay, so this was kind of the landscape we were in till November last year. And now I'm going to talk about our generative AI journey. So I want to run this poll with all of you. And I know we have a lot of students today, but how many of you feel that generative AI is not good for what you are trying to do in your world? Not good? Okay, good. Very small fraction in the room. How many of you are in 2 or 3? Looking for possible applications and experimenting. Okay, more people, great, awesome. How many of you are in 4? We are implementing generative AI, and you are consistently using generative AI and are asking everyone to use and see how they can use it more carefully, how they can adopt more. Okay, so we have the 2 or 3, that's the bucket I would say most of the people like. That's awesome. This is the right room, you are at the right talk. I am going to talk about how we adopted generative AI. And if you are a student, I think it is critical to understand as you become a data scientist, or you become a product manager, or you go to any other professions in the tech industry, in enterprise tech, how people are collaborating, how skill sets are evolving, how the skills that we bring to the table are evolving with generative AI. So 7 months back, ChatGPT came along and crazy adoption rates. And I think we had 100 million users in 2 months. Well, Threads, I think, had it in 5 days, 100 million. Did you all sign up for Threads? But still, it's very interesting for ChatGPT because this is not a social media app. And for a social media app, you have a high peer pressure. Oh, my friend did it, so I have to do it. But for ChatGPT, it was mainly curiosity that drove people to sign up. So still, it's a great rate of people signing up. So this sparked a lot of business to integrate it. And I think a lot of the companies in the tech industry integrated ChatGPT or OpenAI or generative AI in their product. We similarly wanted to innovate and add generative AI to our product. What challenges did we face? Number one, the field was very fast moving, fast evolving. Every day, I think there was a new LLM at the beginning of the year, or even during March, April, there was a new LLM every day. And my boss was asking me, Mitra, which one to use? So I was confused too, and I had to learn very fast. Ratio of data scientists to software engineers. As I said before, we were doing AI. We were building up some of the foundational pieces, but we were mainly thinking of AI for AI ops, one product line. And now we want to do AI all through our products. So how do we scale very fast? Or who are the right people who can contribute? New technology, lots of learning, not only for data scientists and people, AI practitioners, but security, legal, and everyone. Concurrent workflows, everyone is excited. At that point of time in my company, everyone wanted to contribute and wanted to do AI. And I heard people saying, hey, Mitra, can I give this data to ChatGPT? Is this a way, is this the new, can this be the new product? So there were many ideas, a lot of noise. Everybody wants to contribute and everybody thinks that they can. And I'll explain at some point of time, we data scientists have to put down their foot and say, no, these are the things. There are some rules of engagement and you cannot really do anything that you want. Roadmap realignment. So at this point of time, in enterprise companies, generally, the roadmap for the year is already created a year back. So we had a roadmap, we had some goals, we had some thoughts of how do we progress with this million in revenue. And we had to change some of that because now we want 20% of our workforce or 30% of our workforce to do generative AI. So there was a lot of roadmap realignment. So these are some of the challenges we faced. We approached it in a very methodical way. So empower and educate. We wanted to make sure, and when I say we, I'm a data scientist, so my team of data scientists and data engineers. We wanted to empower and educate the organization because we thought that the more people know, the more they will think wisely. So our job is to educate and empower people. Establish rules of engagement. No, you cannot do everything. Discover good use cases. Not everything can be done by generative AI or even should be done by generative AI. There are many other use cases that should be simply done by other machine learning and AI techniques. Establish data privacy and legal guidelines. As we were discussing, that none of you believe what OpenAI is writing. And in the enterprise world, when we are getting a product feature out and a large number of people using it, we have to be very careful about data privacy and security and legal things. Determining the LLM of our choice, which is the right LLM to use. And then setting some operating principles to release so that we can build up some trust with customers. These were our tenets of building generative AI products. And I'm going to go through each bullet point and describe our action items. So empower and educate. We ran a few Hackweeks. Generally at PagerDuty, we run 2 Hackweeks. This time we ran a generative AI Hackweek. We made sure that the teams we formed had representation from legal, from security, from data science, and product, so that everybody can think together. We created several Slack channels, and if person X knows about a good course in prompt engineering, let's share. If person Y knows something, let's share. That was our motto. Data scientists ran a lot of office hours. We formed a core lead group, and here we means the leadership team. So one representative from legal, someone from security, someone from data science. So we formed a core group so that we can discuss the challenges at that point of time. Those were all new. And the last one is very important. We got the buy-in from the leadership to dedicate, let's say, 20% of resources towards building generative AI features. The next one I want to talk about, and this might be very interesting because I'm a data scientist and I keep hearing that with generative AI, data scientists are no longer needed. That's a myth. Yes, the role is evolving. The role is evolving. If you use generative AI, you do not need data scientists to build a model, but you need data scientists. And in my next slide, I'm going to show how did we engage our team of data scientists with the different generative AI work streams. So this is what data scientists did. Number 1, explore data feasibility, garbage in, garbage out. You have to remember all the LLMs available in the market are trained on some public data. So you have to ask yourself, the data, the answers that I am trying to get were those available publicly, were the data available publicly? Is that private data? Should I send it to our LLM models? Should I fine tune? So, because if you give garbage data, even if you use the most sophisticated techniques or an LLM, it's going to be garbage out. So data scientists worked with the teams to figure out whether they had right data. The second one is guidance on building prompt. Interactions with any LLM or generative AI tool is very expensive. I think Raman mentioned, or the CTO of ZipRecruiter also mentioned today in the keynote. It's expensive. So you don't want to build prompts so that you spend your money building a feature. You have to earn something from that feature, right? So you don't want to, you want to reduce costs on prompts. The third one is ML. So as we were building these generative AI features, I'm talking about the third point here, we realized that once again, not everything needs to be done by generative AI. In our feature, we needed a text matching tool, and that can be simply done by any other NLP tools. We don't need generative AI. So having ML components prior or after your generative AI answers is another way to think of this as we are architecting. Systems design is something that Raman mentioned. Once again, key point. We need to think of the systems design and where we shouldn't use generative AI. Evaluate feature performance. Generative AI features do not always perform as expected. Their answers change. So we wanted data scientists to look at how the feature is performing with time, continuous monitoring. What are the metrics that we should look at as we are looking at a feature? And then the final one is assist product in selecting right customers to test the feature. We wanted to test features, and let's say if our feature is based on all the Slack conversations, and if a customer doesn't use Slack or doesn't have an integration with Slack, then we cannot give him that generative AI feature because we don't have the data. So we had to work with product, making sure that as we are going through the different stages of releasing the feature to different customers, we ensure that we choose the right customers. So these are the rules of engagement. If we had a potential use case for LLM, and this is where we put down our foot and said that, hey, you need to follow this. You have to involve a data scientist early in the game. for many reasons, as I described. You have to start a design document early, because the more you write, the more you architect, the more you think of the system's design, that tightens up everything and gives a basis for discussion. You also need to think about the API contract. What are the requirements you're asking your LLM, and what are the answers that your LLM giving you? And then in our process, we were tightly coupled with legal and security, because otherwise, if things go wrong, if your LLM is not performing good, recently I have heard, and I don't know if you all have seen the news too, that ChatGPT is not performing well at all, and it's losing its users, and it's not giving the right results. The performance is decaying. So and it's supposed to be. That's how these systems are designed. So we need to be aware of where we might need some legal and security guidance. This slide is to highlight that not everything can be done with generative AI. So we had to find the use cases that actually can leverage the capability of generative AI. So for us, we chose summarization, we chose code generation, and we chose chatbot capabilities. These are our, once again, our data privacy and legal guidelines. We have a different opt-in, opt-out features in our product, so that customers who doesn't like to use generative AI can use other features. I'm almost at the end. Jeet, I know you want me to wrap up. Give me 5 minutes and I'm almost at the end, okay? So the LLM of your choice, we had 3 KPIs as we were picking up the right LLM: accuracy, cost, and latency. So we need to think of use cases. We don't want a lot of latency. If it's a real-time problem and we want generative AI to reply, we don't want a high latency. Cost, as I said, we want to earn something by this feature. We want some ROI, so we had to pick up, this was an important metric. The other one is accuracy. We can see how LLMs are faring manually, but we can also ask ChatGPT to score it for us. So we kind of did both and scored LLMs, made LLMs fight with each other. And then the last slide on this is the operating principles. How do you build up trust and quality? And we work with a lot of customers, and the one critical thing I want to say is it was an experiment. So we had a lot of phases. We did an internal preview where all our internal users used the feature that we were trying to launch. We did external preview with early adopters. And we had phases for that too, like people who are really interested to test versus people who are a little bit apprehensive. So, and then we did early access, we did general access. So we just phased it out so that we can collect all the feedback and we can move at the pace we feel comfortable with. I think this deck will be available to you all. So at the end, I have 3 features. 2 based on summarization and 1 based on code generation. Please feel free to look at the features we are releasing. Thank you for listening to my talk and giving me an opportunity to speak about generative AI.
You want another round of applause, guys. Any questions you have for her? I'll give the mic to you guys.
I wonder if you could I wonder if you can elaborate on your security model, particularly given that PagerDuty is a SaaS system and it's collecting information across a wide customer base. You mentioned you can opt in and opt out of these feature. That's one mechanism, but alerts happening for company A and anything that you and wouldn't necessarily apply to company B, all those to be in its own little vacuum. So I'm kind of curious about your approach to deal with that problem.
We don't mix customer data. So that's for all our AI features, we don't go across customers. That the reason is that that is not super valuable in this field. It's very valuable in retail. It's not very valuable in the incident management field because companies' configurations, how their systems are configured, how they are setting up their alert systems, they vary from company to company. So the interspatial alerts, the time between two alerts and everything, they are very different from company. So we never go across customers. So we are not mixing customers.
Thank you so much. Here we have another.
So I have a question about if you have any good guidance on the crossover between maybe spending time and effort on prompt engineering versus fine tuning.
My choice would be prompt engineering. This is because when I think of what problem I'm trying to solve, I will start with the easiest one, the easiest method. I will never start with a neural network. I'll go step by step. And then if I cannot solve it, I'll go to the neural network. So similarly here, fine tuning is typical. You have to give your data set to OpenAI. OpenAI will host a model. So a lot of complications and complexities. So I would start with prompt engineering, and with few short prompts, I have seen for the problems that we are trying to solve with few short prompts, if you line it up so that your first prompt is classification, your second prompt is asking the question. If you line it up like that, prompt engineering is sufficient and you don't necessarily need to do fine tuning.
Sang, I request you to stand in the middle so that we get kept.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Hi. Regarding PagerDuty, again, maybe dealing with the AI ops and so forth and generative AI, question to you is RPA. It's been around for a little while, the robotic process automation side. How do you see that dovetailing into something that's saying, hey, this is something that the data is showing you to actually doing something about it? How do you see that dovetailing into it?
What's your question?
The RPA, how are you implementing some of the just not information that generative AI is producing, but actually actionable items?
Yes. You know, there is a risk, right? In all our AI features, our generative AI features, we have a human in the loop. It's never that you see the results. So we are generating a summary, but we are not automatically sending it up. There is a human in the loop who's looking at it. And most probably that human is the SME in that subject because we just don't want anyone to. So for RBA, for process automation, the risks are high because we are saying, hey, there is an incident, do X. And getting that SME who can think of whether do X is the right thing to do at that point is the risk is high. But you will see in our process of automation, we are generating a lot of scripts, but with responsibility. Like, hey, this is the script, this is the thing. Because we are also thinking about the risk. Who is the person who's reading the script, who is writing the script, who is seeing the recommendation? We don't want it to be automatic. This is not a place for automation right
now. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. I have two questions. I don't know if I have time for that. I might want others to also ask their question. The first one is connected to what you talked about. You don't mix vendor data. So when you are training, fine-tuning the training for your LLMs, do you also keep it vendor specific or it is a common training?
Vendor data, customer data.
Sorry, customer data. I'm sorry.
And we do not, as I said, I am not a big proponent of fine tuning.
Okay.
So, but if you do fine tune, it has to be customer
specific.
Per customer. For
okay.
all our AI models,
okay.
we have model per customer.
Okay.
As I said, this is not a field where going across customers.
Can I go with the second question? Yeah, my second question is that human in the loop is something that should eventually go away, right? You see that going away at some point of time. And that should be the learning that happens from the responses human have given in so many future events. And then the model could be ready for automation. Do you see that happening?
Not anytime soon.
Okay.
Thinking is still something.
But it is possible. it is possible and it is probable. Is it possible or probable, right? Like, to eliminate human in the loop in over a period of time.
I don't know about that because, I can't predict the future.
Okay.
If you ask me, my take would be, it's going to be very difficult because thinking is something that we still own. Machines don't own that.
Okay.
So situations, at risky situations, there has to be a human looping. As long as we don't outsource things.
Thank
Or
you.
can't outsource.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Before we wrap up, I just want to give a big round of applause, guys. Thanks. Audience deserves an applause for putting all the technical difficulties we had. And I want to thank Jeet, and I want to thank the audience, and I want to thank our speaker for putting up with us and doing a great job.
Hey,